Hello. Now we'll take you through a question type which involves assumptions. So the question generally has a statement, as in it's a question statement which is followed by two sentences or two assumptions. Now, whenever a statement is made, it is based on certain assumptions. So, when say for example, when I say that you will do well in the exam, it is based on the assumption that you have prepared well. You are aware of what exactly your strengths are, weaknesses are, and I am assuming that you are a good candidate and so on. So that is an assumption. So assumption is something which is used to support a fact, or which is something which is implicitly considered to be true. So assumption is something which we say is true, so that it necessitates the existence of the uh, parent statement. So in this case, if the statement is present, we need to have some assumptions to back that statement. So the question statement will have a very generic statement or a vague statement, for example, sometimes, and then you have to figure out the two assumptions which have been given after the question statement, whether one of them is implicit, or whether both of them are implicit, or whether or if neither of them is implicit. So that's how the question is structured. We'll go through a couple of questions, then you will understand it in a better manner. So the direction is pretty simple. It is given that in each question below is given a statement followed by two assumptions, number 1 and 2. An assumption is something which is supposed or granted. You have to assume the given thing and consider the statement and the following assumptions and decide which of the assumptions is or are implicit. And you have to give answer 1 if only 1 is implicit, 2 if only assumption 2 is implicit, 3 if either 1 or 2 is implicit, 4 if neither 1 nor 2 is implicit, and 5th if both 1 and 2 are implicit. So that is how we go about solving these questions. So let's look at the first question. The statement says, let us open some new opportunities for backward sections, which is said by a socialist. Now this is a wonderful thing, and assumptions generally have very low strike rates. As in, if you attempt 5 questions on this domain, probably you will get somewhere around 3 or 4 answers correct. So the low accuracy is primarily because there are traps set in the question, and the question is very vague. So you cannot really say if a particular answer is right or not. So if we see these two questions, you will understand in a better manner what I mean to say here. But there are certain traps, or there is certain ambiguity which is associated with the question, which probably hampers the decision making process, and probably you will not really be able to come up with a clear cut answer as to why one is implicit and why the second one is not implicit, or vice versa. So let's see. The first question says that let us open some new opportunities for backward sections, which is being said by a socialist. Now, socialism is nothing but a thought, or probably it is a way of thinking which advocates that all the important institutions which contribute to the society should rest with the government, and that is what it advocates. Now, many people would not really be clear about what socialist means, whether it is for the benefit of the community, or whether it is for the benefit of other organizations, or it is for the upliftment of the society or something. So there could be conflicting thoughts when it comes to socialism, and that is what this question tries to cash in. If I put socialist here, then probably you would say that you are not really sure in what exactly is going to happen, or what socialism is. So that is something which is very important in this question. So it is simply being said that there is a socialist who is saying that we should open some new opportunities for backward sections. Now the first assumption says that these kind of announcements are necessary to get fame in public. That is the first statement. So the first statement says that these kind of announcements are necessary to get fame in public. The second statement says that they really want to help weaker section of our society. Now, the first statement says these kind of announcements are necessary to get fame in public is something which is a popular opinion. Now, there is a difference between an assumption and an opinion, and we cannot really be sure of what this person has assumed. Right? If someone is just looking for it as something which is required for vote bank, or vote bank politics or something like that, then probably it makes sense. That probably this assumption is true. But a socialist is saying this. Socialist is saying this. So we cannot really be sure if it's said by the socialist, if the socialist really means this thing, or it doesn't mean this thing. Right? If the socialist definitely means to help the backward sections, then probably you can say that this is not implicit at all. But we do not really know the motive behind this statement. So if we do not really know the motive behind this statement, we cannot really come up with an answer whether this is implicit or not. So whenever in doubt, you would say that this assumption is not implicit. So first one, it's a generic statement. It's an opinion which says that it's necessary to get fame in public. But it is not necessary to get fame in public. Even if this person practices what this person has preached, and if definitely if leads to the upliftment of the backward sections, then probably you would not really say that this is true. So an assumption is something which has to be true in all the scenarios, and this is a diversion from the central argument. We cannot really be sure if it is said in fact, or if it is a pretext to something else, if it is pretentious. So the first statement, first assumption we cannot really say is implicit. Now let's go to the second statement. They really want to help weaker section of our society. Again, this is branching, right? So if this socialist, if he means something, so then there will be two things, right? Either he would really mean whatever he has said, or he would be faking it. So we do not really know if he is real or faking. So we cannot really take a stand, and we cannot really say that one of them is implicit. If he genuinely means to help the weaker section of the society, then we would say that this person is faking. If that person is saying that he really wants to help, so again it will be this thing. Again, it could be a mixed reaction. We cannot really know if both of them are implicit or not. So we would go for the answer which says that neither one nor two is implicit. So the correct option in this case will be 4. Although people might be tempted to think that if it's either real or faking, then either one or two has to be implicit. But then again, this is not really a black and white thing, right? It's an ambiguous thing. It's a slightly grey area, and you cannot really say that he either means well for the sections, or he means or he wants to get fame in public. You can help the weaker section of the society and also get fame in public. So it's not really an either or thing, and so we will go with neither one nor two is implicit. The second question, it says that it is a pity that poor children will have to face so many problems in school due to untrained teachers and improper schedule, which is set by an educationist. Now, this educationist is saying that he or she feels sorry for the poor children who will have to face so many problems because of untrained teachers and because the scheduling is not proper. So someone is scheduling it and someone is training it, and that someone is not really doing the job well. And so this person is saying that he feels sad for those children who have to go through this entire process. Okay? The first statement says that the non-government organization should take proper steps to solve their problems. Now this could be a solution to it. This could come after this statement. It's a pity that poor children will have to face so many problems, and to alleviate these matters, probably non-government organizations should participate, or they should take proper steps to address these concerns, probably. This is not an assumption, but this is probably what will come after this statement. So this is not an implicit assumption at all. It is probably an effect of this cause which is present in the question. The second statement says that it seems government is not serious about the education of the poor. Now, poor has been explicitly mentioned in the statement, and someone has to train the teachers and someone has to schedule whatever has to be scheduled in the field of education. And so this statement, or this thing which has been said here, that says that it seems government is not serious about the education of the poor, it makes perfect sense, because someone has assumed that the government is not really focused about education of the poor, and that is why the teachers are not trained properly, or there is not proper scheduling that is happening. And so it is a pity that poor children have to go through all this, right? So the second statement is a very good example of an assumption being implicit. So this person has not actually said that the government is not working, but this person has said that the teachers are not trained, or the scheduling is not properly done, both of which are related to the government or to the authority which is in charge of scheduling the timetables or training the teachers and so on. So this is something which is implicit in this argument. So we will go with option 2, which says that only assumption 2 is implicit. So this is how we work around questions involving assumptions, and if they are implicit or explicit or something like that. But then again, this is a very tricky area, and not every time can you expect to get 100% accuracy. The good thing about these questions is that they take very less time. So you can read those questions, and these are very simple, straightforward questions you don't really have to go through dense material to understand these questions. Even if you have a proper working knowledge of the English language, you should be fine. So it will take hardly 20 seconds or 30 seconds to read this question. But once you read these questions, you have to form an opinion and you have to stick to it. If there is negative marking, you would have to be careful about these questions. But if there is no negative marking associated with these questions, then definitely you should go for the answer which you feel is correct, and probably you should move to the next question. With a bit of practice, you can easily get at least 3 to 4 marks out of 5 questions which are present. So an accuracy of 60 to 80% is something which a good aspirant should be happy with when you are dealing with these questions. I hope this clears all the queries regarding assumptions. Keep watching our other videos as well. Thank you.